I stared at my phone, reading Bella's text message for the 20th time. Actually, sis, we won't be needing your help at the ceremony after all. It's probably better this way. My name is Lucille, and I've spent 29 years being the supportive sister, the reliable one, the constant shadow to Bella's spotlight. But this was different. She can't be serious, Ruby said, sliding a glass of wine across my kitchen counter. My cousin had rushed over the moment I called, knowing I needed someone to talk me off the ledge. Not after everything you've done for her wedding? I took a long sip, letting the Cabernet burn away the lump in my throat. Oh, she's serious. You know, Bella. Everything has to be perfect. And apparently, I don't fit into her perfect picture anymore. But you're her sister. You've been helping with everything for months. The venue hunting, the cake tastings, the dress fittings. Don't forget the $12,000 from my savings, I added, my voice cracking slightly. The money she borrowed for her dream dress and designer shoes. Ruby's eyes widened. Tell me you're joking. I wish. She convinced Mom to convince me. You know how that goes. I pulled up my banking app, showing her the devastating balance. Said she'd pay me back after the honeymoon, called it her sister investment. That manipulative little... Ruby stopped herself, taking a deep breath. Have you told your mom about this uninvited situation? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mom's response was classic. Oh, honey, you know how stressed Bella gets. Just give her space to have her perfect day. The memory of yesterday's family dinner flooded back. Bella, perched at the head of the table like some self-appointed queen, announcing her final wedding preparations. The color scheme is blush and ivory, she declared, scrolling through her phone. Everything needs to be Instagram perfect. Lionel's family is very particular about appearances. I already ordered my dress in blush, I'd said. The one you picked out, remember? Bella had looked up, her perfectly manicured fingers pausing mid-scroll. Oh, about that. I've decided to go in a different direction with the bridal party. More cohesive. Cohesive? I'd repeated, feeling my stomach drop. Yes, you know, harmonious? The girls I've chosen all have a certain look. Mom had jumped in then, ever the peacekeeper. Bella's just trying to make everything perfect, sweetheart. We understand, don't we, Lucille? Ruby's voice pulled me back to the present. Perfect? More like perfectly cruel. This isn't about aesthetics, she's punishing you. Punishing me for what? For being the only person who sees through her act. For not worshipping the ground she walks on like everyone else does. I stood up, pacing my small apartment kitchen. You know what the worst part is? I actually believed things were different this time. When she asked me to help with the wedding planning, I stopped, embarrassed by my own naivety. You thought she finally saw you as an equal, Ruby finished softly. Stupid, right? I grabbed my phone again, scrolling through months of text messages between Bella and me. Hundreds of links to wedding inspiration, late-night panic calls about flower arrangements, endless requests for my opinion, only for her to do exactly what she wanted anyway. What are you going to do? Ruby asked, refilling our glasses. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with another message from Bella. BTW, could you still handle the wedding gift spreadsheet? You're so good with organizing things. XOXO. I showed Ruby the message, and she nearly choked on her wine. The audacity! She uninvites you, but still wants you to manage her gift list? Classic Bella, I muttered, but something inside me had shifted. Maybe it was the wine, maybe it was 29 years of being the family doormat, but suddenly I was done. Done being the reliable one, done being the shadow, done being the sister who always understood. You know what? I said, straightening up. I think it's time Bella got exactly what she deserves. Ruby raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I picked up my phone, typing out a response to Bella. Of course, anything for your perfect day. Then I looked at Ruby, a smile spreading across my face that felt foreign and exciting. I'm going to give her a wedding gift she'll never forget. Lucille. Ruby's tone was cautious, but I could see the curiosity in her eyes. What are you planning? I don't know yet, I replied, feeling more alive than I had in years. But I think it's finally time for little sister to learn that karma isn't always wrapped in blush and ivory. The bank manager's sympathetic expression made my stomach turn. I'm sorry, Ms. Rivera, but these transactions were authorized. Your sister had full access to the account. Because I trusted her, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The statement showed a series of withdrawals over 3 months, each one labeled as wedding expenses. The final balance mocked me, $238.47. Would you like to file a fraud claim? She asked, though we both knew it would go nowhere. No, I replied, gathering my things. Family drama isn't your problem. Outside the bank, I called Ruby. It's worse than I thought. She took almost everything. Everything? How much are we talking about? $23,000. My voice cracked. My entire house down payment fund. Holy shit, Lucille. That's not borrowing. That's theft. I leaned against my car, trying to steady my breathing. I need a drink. Meet me at Edison's? Edison's bar was quiet for a Thursday afternoon. He spotted me the moment I walked in, already pulling out my usual whiskey sour before I reached the counter. You look like you've seen a ghost, he said, sliding the drink over. Worse. I've seen my bank statement. Ruby arrived just as I was finishing the story. Edison, who'd known me since college, looked ready to commit murder. Have you confronted her? He asked, polishing a glass with more force than necessary. What's the point? Mom will say I'm being dramatic, and Bella will cry about how stressed she is planning the perfect wedding. I pulled out my phone, showing them Bella's latest Instagram post, a perfectly staged photo of her and Lionel at their engagement party. Look at them, the golden couple. Ruby squinted at the photo. Wait, isn't that... What? I asked. Swipe to the next picture. I did, and there it was. In the background of a group shot, barely visible but unmistakable, Lionel, Bella's perfect fiancé, with his hand on someone else's waist. A male someone. Holy shit, Edison whispered, leaning over the bar for a better look. My fingers flew across the screen, zooming in. The man's face was turned away, but there was no mistaking the intimacy of that touch. This was from last weekend's party? Ruby asked. I nodded, already scrolling through more photos. The engagement celebration at the country club. I wasn't invited, of course. Too many important people there. Give me your phone, Edison said, taking it before I could protest. His fingers moved quickly, taking screenshots and enhancing images. There, look at these 3 photos together. The story they told was clear. Lionel moving through the party, always finding his way back to the same man. In one photo, they were laughing together by the bar. In another, disappearing down a hallway. Who is he? Ruby asked. Zachariah, I said, the name coming to me suddenly. He works with Lionel at the investment firm. Bella mentioned him once, said he was Lionel's best friend from college. Best friend, huh? Edison raised an eyebrow. Looks like a bit more than that. My phone buzzed. Another text from Bella. Need you to transfer the remaining balance for the flowers, around $3,000. Thanks, sis. Something snapped inside me. Years of being the good sister, the understanding one, the human ATM. It all crystallized into a single, clarifying moment of rage. You know what? I said, picking up my phone. I think I just found my wedding gift. Ruby touched my arm. Lucille, think about this. If you're wrong, I'm not wrong. I pulled up Bella's contact list, which she'd shared for wedding planning. There it was, Zachariah's number. And I'm going to prove it. What are you going to do? Edison asked, looking both concerned and intrigued. I finished my drink and stood up. First, I'm going to text Zachariah. Then, I'm going to have a very interesting conversation about truth, lies, and karma. And if he won't talk? Ruby asked. I smiled, feeling a strange calm settle over me. Oh, he'll talk, because I'm going to offer him something he can't refuse, the chance to stop living a lie. As I walked out of the bar, my phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. Darling, Bella's upset you haven't transferred the flower money. You know how important this wedding is to her. I typed out a response. Don't worry, Mom. I'm working on giving Bella exactly what she deserves. Then I composed a new message to Zachariah. We need to talk about Lionel, and about what really happened at the engagement party. Coffee tomorrow? His response came almost immediately. Who is this? Someone who knows the truth, and someone who's tired of keeping secrets. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. Okay? Where? I smiled, feeling the pieces of my plan falling into place. Perfect. Let's talk about the wedding of the year. I can't believe I'm doing this, Ruby said, adjusting her sunglasses as we sat at the outdoor cafe. I feel like I'm in a spy movie. You're just backup, I reminded her, checking my phone again, in case Zachariah tries to run. Or in case he brings Lionel. He won't. I showed her our text exchange. He's too scared. Zachariah arrived exactly on time, looking nothing like I'd expected. Tall, well-dressed, and visibly nervous, he scanned the cafe before spotting us. Recognition flickered across his face when he saw me. He'd probably seen photos at Bella's house. Lucille? He asked, sliding into the seat across from me. Thanks for coming, Zachariah. I gestured to Ruby. This is my cousin. She's here to make sure we all stay honest. He fidgeted with his watch. What do you want? I want the truth about you and Lionel. His face went pale. There's nothing to... Don't. I pulled out my phone, showing him the photos from the engagement party. I have more, much more, including security footage from the country club hallway. That was a bluff, but his reaction confirmed everything. He buried his face in his hands. Does Bella know? He whispered. Not yet. That's why we're here. He looked up sharply. You're blackmailing me? No, I said, keeping my voice steady. I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing, because in 3 weeks this truth is coming out one way or another. You can't. I can, and I will. My sister took everything from me, Zachariah. My savings, my dignity, and now even my place at her wedding. All while her fiancé lives a lie that's going to destroy her anyway. Ruby touched my arm, a gentle reminder to stay calm. Zachariah was quiet for a long moment. How long have you known? Long enough, but that's not the important question. The important question is, how long have you been in love with him? His eyes filled with tears. Since college, we were together first, before Bella. Then his family started pressuring him about settling down, about appearances, about the firm's reputation. Bella was perfect for their image. And you just accepted that? What choice did I have? He wiped his eyes. Lionel said we could keep seeing each other, that marrying Bella wouldn't change anything between us. Except it changes everything for her, Ruby interjected. I know, he whispered. God, I know. A waiter approached, and we all fell silent until he left. I studied Zachariah's face, the guilt, the pain, the love he couldn't hide. Show me, I said. What? Show me proof, messages, photos, anything that proves this isn't just talk. He hesitated, then pulled out his phone. With trembling fingers, he opened his messages and handed it to me. I scrolled through years of conversations, my heart pounding as I took screenshots. The night he proposed to Bella, Zachariah said quietly, he came to my apartment first. Said he had to see me before he did it. That he loved me but had to do this for his family. And you let him go through with it? I thought I could handle it, being the secret. But seeing them together, watching them plan this wedding. He shook his head. It's killing me. I handed his phone back. Then help me stop it. How? Tell Bella the truth, before the wedding. Give her a chance to walk away with her dignity intact. He laughed bitterly. Lionel would never agree. Then I'll do it for you, at the wedding, in front of everyone. You wouldn't. Try me. I leaned forward. My sister might be the victim here, but she's also the person who drained my bank account and threw me away like garbage. I'm done protecting her perfect illusion. Ruby cleared her throat. Lucille, maybe we should... No, I cut her off. This ends now. Either you tell her, Zachariah, or I will. And trust me, my way will be much more public. He stared at me for a long moment. You're serious. Deadly. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. Then I start making calls. He stood up, unsteady on his feet. What you're doing, it's going to destroy more than just the wedding. No, I replied. The lies are what destroy things. The truth just finishes the job. After he left, Ruby turned to me. Are you sure about this? I watched Zachariah's retreating figure, thinking about all the times Bella had hurt me, used me, dismissed me. About the money she'd stolen and the invitation she'd revoked. Yes, I said, pulling up my phone to check the screenshots. It's time for everyone to see what perfect really looks like. 23 hours later, my phone lit up with a message from Zachariah. I can't do it, but I have something you need to see. We met in the parking lot of a 24-hour diner, the kind of place Bella wouldn't be caught dead in. Zachariah looked like he hadn't slept. I tried telling him, he said, hands shaking as he lit a cigarette. Told Lionel we had to come clean. And he threatened to destroy my career, said his family would make sure I never worked in finance again. He laughed hollowly. But that's not even the worst part. What is? He pulled out his phone. He sent me this an hour ago. The message was clear. If you breathe a word of this to anyone, I'll tell everyone it was all in your head. That you're just some desperate stalker who couldn't take no for an answer. Who would they believe? Me or you? Bastard, I muttered. There's more. Zachariah swiped through his phone. Screenshots of our conversations, photos of us together. He's already deleted everything from his end. Said he'd deny it all. But you kept copies? Some? He hesitated. But there's something else. Something about Bella. My heart skipped. What about her? She's not as innocent as you think. Last month at the country club. He stopped, taking a deep drag of his cigarette. I saw her with someone, not Lionel. Who? The tennis instructor. They were intimate. I felt the ground shift under my feet. You're sure? I have proof. He pulled up a video on his phone. Even in the dim lighting of the club's storage room, there was no mistaking my sister's face, or what she was doing with the young instructor. Holy shit, I whispered. Lionel doesn't know, or maybe he does and doesn't care. Maybe that's their arrangement. They both get to play around as long as they keep up appearances. I sat down on the curb, my mind racing. This changes everything. Does it? Zachariah sat beside me. They're both living lies. Maybe they deserve each other. No, I said, standing up. They deserve the truth. Everyone does. My phone buzzed. A message from Bella. Family dinner tomorrow night. Daddy's flying in specially. Need to discuss final wedding details. Perfect timing, I muttered. What are you going to do? I turned to Zachariah. Will you help me? How? Come to the dinner. Bring everything. The messages, the photos, the video. It's time for a family meeting they'll never forget. He paled. I can't. You can. For both of us. I touched his arm. Don't you want to be free? His eyes filled with tears. More than anything. Then be at my parents' house tomorrow at 7, and bring the truth with you. The next evening, I arrived early to find Mom in full hostess mode, arranging flowers and fussing over place settings. Darling, could you help with the wine? Your father's favorite red needs to breathe. Sure, Mom. Oh, and I invited someone to join us. She looked up, surprised. Who? Zachariah, from Lionel's office. Oh, how lovely. Bella mentioned he's been so helpful with the wedding planning. I smiled. You have no idea. Bella arrived in a flurry of expensive perfume and air kisses. Daddy, you look so thin. Has the airline food been terrible again? Our father, fresh from his business trip, beamed at her. Nothing a good family dinner won't fix. Lionel arrived last, looking polished and professional as always. His smile faltered slightly when he saw me. Lucille, I thought you weren't involved in the wedding anymore. Oh, I'm still very involved, I replied sweetly. In fact, the doorbell rang. Mom went to answer it, and there was Zachariah, looking terrified but determined. "What is he doing here?" Lionel demanded, his perfect facade cracking. Bella froze, her eyes darting between Zachariah and the tennis courts visible through the dining room window. "I invited him," I said, standing up, "because it's time for some truth at this family dinner." "Lucille," Mom warned, "this isn't the time." "Actually, Mom, this is exactly the time. Before we spend any more money on this wedding, before we celebrate any more lies, there are some things everyone needs to see." I pulled out my phone and Zachariah did the same. Lionel took a step forward, but it was too late. "Now," I said, looking around the table at my family's faces, "who wants to go first? The cheating fiancé or the cheating bride?" The silence that followed was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. "You're bluffing," Lionel said, but his voice trembled. "Am I?" I connected my phone to the TV screen, the one Mom insisted on having in the dining room for her cooking shows. "Let's find out." "Stop this right now," Bella hissed, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the tablecloth. Dad set down his wineglass. "What's going on here?" "A reality check," I said, pulling up the first photo. "This is from the engagement party. Notice anything interesting about where Lionel's hands are?" The image filled the screen, Lionel and Zachariah in that intimate moment, crystal clear in high definition. Mom gasped. Bella's face went white. Lionel lunged for the TV remote, but Zachariah was faster. "There's more," he said quietly, his voice gaining strength. "So much more." "You promised," Lionel snarled at him. "You said you'd never—" "I promised to keep your secret while you figured things out," Zachariah replied. "Not while you destroyed both our lives." Dad stood up, his business negotiator face on. "Everyone needs to calm down. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation." "Oh, there is," I interrupted, swiping to the next image. "Years of explanations, years of messages, years of lies." The screen filled with text messages between Lionel and Zachariah, intimate conversations, secret meetups, declarations of love, all dated well into Lionel's engagement to Bella. "You disgusting," Bella started, but I cut her off. "Careful, sis, your turn's coming up." She froze. "What?" I switched to the country club video. The storage room footage played in silence, showing Bella and the tennis instructor in their passionate encounter. "Turn it off," Mom whispered, but nobody moved. "Well," I said into the heavy silence. "Looks like the perfect couple isn't so perfect after all." Bella burst into tears, her go-to move when cornered. "Daddy, she's trying to ruin everything. She's always been jealous of me." "Jealous?" I laughed. "Of what? Your fake relationship? Your stolen wedding fund?" "Stolen?" Dad's head snapped toward me. "What do you mean stolen?" I pulled up my bank statements. "Show him, Bella. Show him how you drained my account for your perfect wedding. $23,000 of my savings gone." Mom stood up, swaying slightly. "I thought you said she agreed to help pay—" "She never agreed to anything," Lionel said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. "Bella told me she took the money without asking. Said you'd never notice because you always clean up her messes." "Lionel!" Bella shrieked. "What? We're all sharing truths, aren't we?" He stood up, straightening his tie. "Fine. Yes, Zachariah and I have been together for years. Yes, this wedding is a sham. And yes, Bella knew about the tennis instructor. We had an arrangement." Dad collapsed back into his chair. "An arrangement?" "It was perfect," Bella sobbed. "We both got what we wanted. His family's connections, my social status. Who cares what we did on the side?" "I care," Zachariah said. "I care that you both used everyone around you. That you stole from your sister to fund a fake wedding. Speaking of funding," I added, "Mom, Dad, did you know the $100,000 you contributed to this wedding was partly going to pay off Bella's secret credit card debt?" More gasps, more revelations, the perfect facade crumbling piece by piece. "I think," Dad said slowly, "this wedding needs to be canceled." "No," Bella jumped up. "You can't. The deposits, the guests, my dress." "Your dress that my money paid for?" I asked sweetly. Lionel grabbed his coat. "This is done. All of it. Zachariah, we should—" We should nothing, Zachariah replied. You made your choices, now live with them. As Lionel stormed out, Mom turned to Bella. The money. You'll pay back every cent you took from your sister. But every cent. Dad's voice was steel. And you'll do it before you leave this house tonight. Bella's tears dried instantly. Fine, whatever. This family never understood me anyway. She stomped upstairs, presumably to get her checkbook, leaving the rest of us in stunned silence. Lucille, Mom said quietly, I'm so sorry. We should have seen. Save it, I replied, standing up. I'm not doing this for your apologies. I'm doing it because someone had to tell the truth. Zachariah touched my arm. Thank you for everything. As we walked out together, leaving my shell-shocked parents and my raging sister behind, I felt lighter than I had in years. Want to grab a drink? Zachariah asked. I think we both need one, I smiled. Lead the way. After all, I'm not busy with wedding planning anymore. Behind us, I could hear Bella's shrieks of outrage echoing from upstairs, the sound of karma finally catching up. The wedding's still on, Ruby said, bursting into my apartment 3 days later. Bella just sent out a mass email. They're calling your revelations malicious lies spread by a jealous sister. I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been documenting everything. Of course they are. But you have proof. Which is exactly why I'm not worried. I showed her my screen. I've been busy. Ruby leaned in, reading the draft email I'd prepared. Holy shit, you're sending this to everyone? Every single wedding guest, all 300 of them. I clicked through the attachments, complete with time-stamped photos, videos, and bank statements. My phone buzzed. Mom calling for the 20th time today. I ignored it. Have you talked to your parents since? Nope, but Dad did transfer back all my money, with interest. I smiled grimly. Guess his guilt finally kicked in. The doorbell rang. Ruby answered it to find Zachariah standing there, looking different. Lighter somehow, despite the circumstances. Lionel's family is trying to buy my silence, he announced, dropping onto my couch. Offered me a promotion and transfer to their London office. And I told them to shove it. Already got a better job offer from their competitors. He grinned. Turns out being free feels pretty good. My phone lit up again, this time with a text from Bella. You need to fix this, now, before you destroy everything. She's still delusional, I muttered, showing them the message. Speaking of delusional, Ruby said, pulling up Instagram, look what she posted an hour ago. It was a photo of Bella and Lionel, perfectly staged in front of a sunset, with a long caption about rising above negativity and letting love conquer all. The comments are brutal, Zachariah noted, scrolling through. Looks like some people already know the truth. Small town, I shrugged. The tennis instructor's been talking. My laptop pinged. An email from the wedding planner marked urgent. I opened it to find a panicked message about vendors demanding payment up front, given the circumstances. They're scrambling, Ruby said. But why continue with this farce? Because Lionel's family can't handle the scandal of canceling, Zachariah explained, and Bella can't handle not being the center of attention. Another text from Bella. Mom's crying because of you. Hope you're happy. I typed back. Funny, she wasn't crying when you stole my money. So what's the plan? Ruby asked. You're not actually going to let this wedding happen, are you? Oh, it's happening. I hit send on the mass email I'd prepared, but not the way they expect. My phone immediately exploded with notifications as 300 guests received detailed evidence of the couple's deceptions. Damn, Zachariah whispered, watching the reactions roll in. You really did it. That's not all. I pulled out an envelope. I still have my invitation to the rehearsal dinner tomorrow night, the one they sent before uninviting me from the wedding. Ruby's eyes widened. You wouldn't. Watch me. I stood up, walking to my closet. In fact, I bought a special dress just for the occasion. I pulled out a garment bag, revealing a stunning red dress, definitely not part of Bella's approved color scheme. Red? Ruby laughed. She'll have a meltdown. That's the point. I hung the dress up carefully. If they want to pretend everything's perfect, they'll have to do it with me there, showing everyone exactly what their perfect looks like. My phone rang again. This time it was Edison. "You need to get down here," he said when I answered. "Lionel just showed up at the bar. He's drunk and threatening to expose everything himself." "Perfect," I said. "Keep him there. We're on our way." As we grabbed our coats, Zachariah looked nervous. "Are you sure about this? Once we go down this road?" "I'm sure." I checked my lipstick in the mirror. Red, to match the dress. They wanted a wedding everyone would remember. Let's give them exactly that. We found Lionel at the bar, tie loosened, several empty glasses in front of him. When he saw Zachariah, his face crumpled. "I can't do it," he slurred. "Can't marry her. Can't keep lying." "Then don't," Zachariah said simply. "My family will survive," I cut in. "Unlike my sister's ego." Lionel looked at me, really looked at me for the first time. "You're coming tomorrow, aren't you? To the rehearsal?" "Try and stop me." He laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "Good. Maybe someone should tell the truth for once." As we left him there, Ruby squeezed my arm. "Tomorrow's going to be intense." "That's the plan." I checked my phone. More reactions pouring in from the mass email. After all, every perfect wedding needs something borrowed, something blue, and something completely, devastatingly true. The rehearsal dinner was being held at the city's most exclusive restaurant, the kind of place where they don't put prices on the menu. I walked in wearing my red dress, Ruby and Zachariah flanking me like bodyguards. "Oh God," Ruby whispered. "Look at Bella's face." My sister stood frozen at the entrance to the private dining room, her practiced smile shattering as she saw me. She was wearing white, of course, a designer dress that probably cost more than my car. "You're not supposed to be here," she hissed as I approached. "Actually, I am." I held up my invitation. "You never officially uninvited me from this part." "Security!" she called out, but Mom intervened. "Bella, don't make a scene," she warned, though her eyes were pleading with me. "Not here." The other guests were arriving, murmuring among themselves. I recognized Lionel's parents, looking stiff and uncomfortable. The tennis instructor was notably absent. "Nice dress," Lionel said as he passed me, already 3 drinks in. "Very honest." "Unlike your relationship?" I replied sweetly. Bella grabbed my arm, nails digging in. "Why are you doing this?" "Because someone has to." I pulled free. "By the way, have you checked your guests' emails today?" Her face went pale. Behind her, I could see people checking their phones, whispering, showing each other screens. "Ladies and gentlemen," the event coordinator announced, "please take your seats for dinner." I found my old place card, right next to Bella, and sat down with a smile. "Hope you don't mind, sis. For old time's sake." The first course arrived, some fancy soup I couldn't pronounce. Bella's hands shook as she lifted her spoon. "I'd like to make a toast." Lionel's father stood up, champagne in hand. "To the perfect coup." "Perfect?" Lionel laughed, the sound harsh and drunk. "Nothing about this is perfect." "Lionel, sit down," his mother hissed. "No, let's talk about perfect." He turned to Bella. "Tell them about our arrangement, about how perfect it is." Gasps rippled through the room. Bella's soup spoon clattered to the table. "Or I could tell them," I offered, standing up. "I have visual aids." "Don't you dare," Bella snarled. "What's she talking about?" Lionel's mother demanded. "Ask your son about Zachariah," I said. "Or ask the tennis instructor about Bella." "Oh wait, he couldn't make it tonight, could he?" The room erupted in chaos. Phones were out, my email evidence being passed around. Lionel's father was shouting, his mother crying. Bella sat frozen, her perfect mask cracking. "You know what the funny thing is?" I continued, my voice carrying over the din. "None of this had to happen. If you'd just been honest, with yourselves, with each other, with your families." "Shut up," Bella screamed, throwing her wine at me. The red liquid splashed across my dress, but I didn't flinch. "Nice aim," I said calmly, but red was already my color tonight. "I think," Lionel said suddenly, standing up unsteadily, "I need to say something." "Sit down," his father ordered. "No." Lionel looked at Zachariah, then at Bella. "I'm done sitting down. I'm done pretending." "Don't," Bella pleaded. "I'm gay," Lionel announced to the stunned room. I'm in love with Zachariah, have been for years. This wedding, it's all fake, a business arrangement, nothing more. The silence was deafening. Then, and I've been sleeping with my tennis instructor, Bella blurted out, hysteria breaking through. Because none of this is real. It's all just perfect? I suggested. She crumpled into her chair, mascara running. Mom rushed to comfort her, but Bella pushed her away. Don't touch me! This is all your fault! She pointed at me. You and your jealousy, your need to ruin everything. No, Bella, you ruined it yourself. When you stole my money, when you uninvited me from your fake wedding, when you chose appearances over truth. Lionel's father was on his phone, probably calling his PR team. His mother had left the room in tears. Guests were either filming everything or trying to pretend they weren't. The wedding's off, Lionel announced, throwing his napkin down. I'm done. He walked over to Zachariah, took his hand, and led him out of the restaurant. The remaining guests started to follow, leaving behind half-eaten soup and fully shattered illusions. You've destroyed everything, Bella sobbed. No, I replied, gathering my things. I just showed everyone what was already broken. As I walked out, Ruby beside me, I heard Mom calling my name. But I didn't turn back. Some perfect endings don't need a final scene. Want to get pizza? Ruby asked as we hit the street. I looked down at my wine-stained dress and laughed. God, yes. But first, let's get a picture. Red really is my color tonight. The morning after the rehearsal dinner disaster, my doorbell rang at 7 a.m. I opened it to find Mom standing there, looking exhausted. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I stepped aside, noting the designer bag under her eyes matched her designer purse. She sat at my kitchen counter while I made coffee. Bella's gone, she said finally. Packed a bag and flew to Paris last night. First class, of course. Running away? That's very on brand for her. Lucille. Mom wrapped her hands around the coffee mug I offered. I failed you both, in different ways, but completely. Where's Dad? Dealing with the wedding cancellation fallout and trying to recover what's left of the deposits. She looked up at me. The money Bella took from you. It wasn't just for the wedding, was it? No. She's been stealing from me for years. Small amounts at first, then bigger ones. Always with your blessing, always for her perfect life. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Why didn't you tell us? I did. You just never listened. My phone buzzed. A text from Zachariah. Lionel came out to his family properly this morning. It went surprisingly okay. His mom actually hugged me. Good for them, I murmured. What? Mom asked. Nothing, just karma working its magic. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Ruby, carrying breakfast bagels and today's newspaper. The headline made Mom flinch. Society wedding canceled amid scandal. At least they used a good photo of the happy couple, Ruby said, spreading cream cheese on a bagel. Though Bella might disagree. My phone kept lighting up with messages, distant relatives, old friends, even Bella's bridesmaids expressing their shock, support, or judgment. I ignored them all. What happens now? Mom asked. Now? I took a bite of bagel. Now I move on. Buy a house with my recovered savings. Live my life without being Bella's backup plan. But she's your sister? No, I cut her off. She's someone who took advantage of me my entire life, and you let her. That stops today. Mom started to protest, but her phone rang. Dad, probably with more crisis updates. She answered and stepped outside to talk. You okay? Ruby asked once we were alone. Better than okay. I pulled out my laptop, opening my email. Look at this. It was a message from a major online news site requesting an interview about toxic family dynamics and the courage to stand up to them. They want my story, I said. The real story, not the society pages version. Are you going to do it? I was interrupted by another knock at my door. It was Edison, still in his bartender clothes from last night's shift. You need to see this, he said, holding up his phone. It was Bella's Instagram. A single new post, a photo of us as kids before everything got complicated. Her caption read, I'm sorry, for everything. You deserved better than the sister I became. Wow, Ruby whispered. Is that genuine? Does it matter? I closed the laptop. Some things can't be fixed with a social media apology. Mom came back inside looking more composed. Your father wants to have dinner tonight, as a family. Well, what's left of it. I can't, I said. I have plans. What plans? Living my life, starting over, being someone other than Bella's sister or your backup daughter. Mom nodded slowly. I understand. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll let you know, I said, surprising myself with how much I meant it. After she left, Edison poured more coffee. So what now, boss? Now? I looked at my friends, Ruby arranging bagels, Edison making himself at home, my phone lighting up with another message from Zachariah about his new beginning with Lionel. Now we celebrate. Celebrate what? Ruby asked. The end of perfect, the beginning of real. I raised my coffee mug. To karma, truth, and red dresses. To standing up for yourself, Edison added. To new beginnings, Ruby finished. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from an unknown international number. I really am sorry. When I figure out how to be better, maybe we can talk. B. I didn't respond. But I didn't delete it either. Some stories don't need perfect endings to be complete. So, Edison said, grabbing his keys. Breakfast pizza at that place downtown? I looked around my apartment, at the red dress hung carefully over a chair, at the evidence of last night's implosion scattered across my coffee table, at the faces of the people who stood by me when it mattered. Actually, I said, I know a better place, and I'm buying. We stepped out into the morning sun, leaving behind the weight of expectations, the burden of perfection, and the ghost of who I used to be. Ahead lay something better than perfect, something real,